A hunched figure with long limbs and two curved horns watched from the dark.
Beneath the ancient flow of the Euphrates, where history, prophecy, and silence converge, something long restrained may be stirring again. The ground shifts, hidden chambers surface, signals emerge from depths never meant to be disturbed. Scripture did not describe this river as symbolic, but as a boundary where judgment was held back, not removed. If what is unfolding now is neither myth nor coincidence, but prophecy re-entering motion, the implications are eternal. Stay with us as we examine what this could mean for the return of Jesus Christ. Like, comment, and subscribe, because what you're about to hear may change how you understand the times we're living in. The Euphrates River is not introduced in Scripture as metaphor or poetry. It is named as a place of restraint. From Genesis to Revelation, the river functions as a boundary, something held in position, not merely flowing. That distinction matters. Boundaries are established for a reason, and restraints imply that something is being kept from moving. Ancient civilizations understood this. Across Mesopotamia, builders avoided certain zones near the Euphrates, leaving stretches of land conspicuously undeveloped. These were not floodplains or unstable marshes. They were solid ground yet left untouched. Excavation records show cities curving away from specific subterranean regions, as if guided by knowledge no longer written down. Avoidance on that scale is not accidental. It suggests inherited warning. In recent decades, that avoidance has gained a modern echo. Multiple sinkholes have opened beneath and alongside the riverbed, deep, narrow, and vertical. Unlike typical collapses, these pits show no scattered debris, no fractured banks, and no surface destruction. Water does not churn or muddy. It vanishes, cleanly, as if draining into something already hollow. Geological surveys note something unusual. The sinkholes align, not randomly, but in linear patterns that suggest connected voids below. Caverns sealed, expansive, and ancient. These are not newly formed erosion channels. Their walls show signs of long-term stability, as though the spaces were already there before the river flowed above them. Even more troubling is what doesn't happen. No seismic disturbance, no gradual subsidence, no warning tremors. The surface remains intact while the water disappears. That contradicts normal models of collapse. It points instead to pre-existing chambers whose seals are failing, one by one. This is where Scripture becomes uncomfortably specific. Revelation 9:14-15 does not speak of symbols in the abstract. It names a location, the great river Euphrates, and speaks of beings bound there, restrained until an appointed time. The language is geographic, not allegorical. A river, a binding, a release. If restraints exist, they must be anchored somewhere. If release is foretold, then weakening containment would precede it. Sinkholes that open without collapse, water that drains without trace, caverns aligned beneath a river. Named in prophecy, these are not independent facts. They form a pattern. The Euphrates was never just a river. It was a line drawn, and lines, once crossed, do not need to announce themselves. They simply fail quietly, precisely, and exactly where they were always meant to. The Euphrates River has not only been losing water. In specific stretches, it has been doing the opposite, surging with sudden, localized violence. Not seasonal flooding, not rainfall overflow. These are brief, aggressive reactions confined to narrow zones, appearing and vanishing without warning. Eyewitness accounts describe the water rising sharply, then collapsing back into itself. The surface buckles, currents reverse direction. In some locations, the river appears to pulse, as if pressure is being released from below, rather than driven from upstream. Hydrologically, this behavior makes little sense. Rivers respond to volume and gradient. What is being observed responds to force. Engineers monitoring flow rates have noted inconsistencies that do not match rainfall data, dam releases, or snowmelt. Water accelerates without an identifiable source. Turbulence appears where the riverbed should be stable. In certain moments, the Euphrates does not flow, it thrashes. The language used by locals is strikingly physical. Heaving, convulsing, straining. Those words matter because they mirror ancient descriptions of creation reacting to intrusion. In biblical language, water does not convulse unless something disturbs its order. When Scripture describes seas roaring or rivers trembling, it is not poetic exaggeration, it is reaction. Creation responding to a disruption it cannot absorb quietly. What makes the Euphrates events unsettling is their precision. The surges do not travel downstream. They do not propagate outward like normal flood waves. They originate, spike, and collapse in place. That suggests the disturbance is not moving water, it is displacing space. Something beneath the riverbed is altering volume, pressure, or structure in short, violent intervals. This reframes the question entirely. The issue may not be erosion, climate, or infrastructure failure. It may be activation, not an object traveling through water, but something interacting with the boundary beneath it. What happens when the reaction no longer subsides? Beneath the Euphrates region lies a cave network that does not resemble a mine, tomb, or dwelling. The stone walls are precision-cut, flattened to tolerances far beyond what is attributed to Bronze Age tools. There are no chisel scars, no gradual shaping marks. The surfaces appear finished, not excavated. This is not crude labor. It is deliberate engineering. More striking is what seals these chambers. Thick layers of bitumen, a tar-like substance line joints, thresholds, and stone seams. This is not random waterproofing. The application is uniform and strategic, designed to isolate sections from one another. Bitumen use is documented in Genesis-era construction, especially where containment or preservation was required. Its presence here suggests ancient knowledge applied with a specific purpose. What adds a new layer of urgency is a recent discovery above the sealed system. Several ancient stone tombs, cut from solid rock, uncovered near the same alignment zone. These tombs do not contain human remains. Instead, their inner walls are engraved with unidentified symbols and script. Unlike standard Mesopotamian writing, the markings are deliberate, repetitive, and placed where a living occupant would face, not where the dead would lie. Archaeologists have been unable to definitively classify the language, noting that the inscriptions appear more instructional than commemorative. Inside the cave system below, instruments behave unpredictably. Temperature drops sharply near inner chambers, independent of depth or airflow. Sound behaves unnaturally. Footsteps echo inconsistently, voices flatten, and silence feels compressed. Magnetic readings fluctuate without geological explanation, interfering with compasses and electronic sensors. These are not minor deviations. They are system-level anomalies. Equipment failure has been repeatedly documented. Batteries drain faster than expected. Communication devices lose signal without obstruction. In some cases, powered tools simply stop functioning near sealed thresholds, then resume once removed. This pattern implies an environmental factor hostile to modern technology, localized, contained, and stable over time. The architecture itself reveals intent. Corridors narrow before widening. Chambers are layered behind redundant seals. There are no ceremonial carvings, no decorative reliefs, no signs of habitation. Even the newly discovered stone tombs above lack names, dates, or honorifics. Nothing suggests reverence or burial. Everything suggests restriction. This space was not built to honor something, it was built to hold something. Containment structures differ from storage or burial in one key way. They anticipate pressure, multiple barriers, controlled access, materials chosen not for beauty, but for endurance. The sealed cave system beneath the Euphrates exhibits all of these traits. If this were merely an abandoned project, decay would be evident. Instead, the system remains intact, stable, waiting. That raises a final, unavoidable conclusion. Whatever these chambers were designed to contain, and whatever the warning inscriptions above were meant to record, was considered dangerous enough to justify advanced engineering, strategic sealing, and deliberate erasure from surface memory. And if containment exists, the only question that matters is whether it is still holding. If this investigation unsettles you, stay with us. Like, comment what you think is sealed below, and subscribe so you don't miss what comes next. What was reported inside the sealed chambers was not movement, but presence. Witnesses describe a tall humanoid figure, partially obscured by darkness, yet unmistakably defined in silhouette. It did not rush. It did not retreat. It stood upright within the inner chamber, as if already aware of being observed. The posture was unnatural, an elongated frame with a hunched upper back, limbs extending longer than human proportion, ending in angles that felt wrong to the eye. The head bore two horn-like protrusions, not curved like ceremonial imagery, but rigid, uneven, and integrated into the skull itself. There was no visible aggression, no sudden action. What unsettled observers most was the stillness. The entity was not hiding. It was watching. Ancient texts describe fallen angels not as mindless creatures, but as intelligent beings bound after rebellion. They are not depicted as chaotic monsters, but as former watchers, entities that once observed humanity from above before crossing a boundary they were forbidden to cross. Their punishment was not immediate destruction, but restraint. In Revelation, 4 such beings are described as bound at a specific location until a predetermined time. The language used is precise. They are not imprisoned in a symbolic realm. They are restrained at a place that matches the geography now under scrutiny. The figure seen within the chamber aligns disturbingly well with ancient descriptions of fallen watchers. Elongated form, altered physiology, a presence that commands fear without action. These beings were never portrayed as creatures driven by instinct. They were intelligences once ordered, now constrained. The absence of attack is not reassuring. It is consistent. A bound entity does not waste energy. It observes. It waits. Its awareness alone is meant to unsettle. Several witnesses reported a sensation of being recognized, not threatened but acknowledged.